Welcome back to the Healthy with Heartland podcast. I am your host, Justin, with our creative directors today and co-hosts, Simon and Shannon. We have a wonderful, wonderful episode for you today. We're going to be talking about breeding, animal breeds, and yeah. And we're going to do some trivia. We're going to have some fun. So let's get it started. Over to Simon and Shannon for some announcements.
All right. Welcome back, Heartland family. Thanks so much for joining us. Today, just a couple quick announcements for you. If you're not already, make sure you're checking us out on Facebook. You can also be a part of our awesome foodie group, so make sure to do that as well. Check us out on our YouTube channel. We post all of the podcast recaps on there, as well our Instagram. Make sure to follow us on there to stay in tune with all of our awesome food photos. For Heartland customers, you can restock from home without the hassle. So we have an awesome reorder special for you this month. It's the marinated chicken, your choice and flavor, absolutely free with your reorder. So make sure to take advantage of that. Something all new in Heartland Foods, we do have a contest which just came out yesterday. It's our Pitmaster giveaway, which we're all super, super excited about. So make sure it's just gotten launched yesterday, April 21st. This will run until May 28th. So a winner will be drawn on May 28th, which is a Friday, and you will win an awesome Pitmaster giveaway prize. So make sure you go click on that link for the contest, enter in your favorite springtime family recipe. Each recipe will count as one entry. You can also receive additional entries for sharing the post and posting a photo of your awesome recipe. So we're looking forward to seeing all those awesome things come
right on time, grilling season.
Yes, definitely. And like I mentioned, let us know what's for dinner in our foodie group. Make sure to become a part of that so you can be up to date in all things Heartland Foods. And with that, let's go ahead and get into the podcast.
Oh. Welcome. Whoa.
Yeah, sorry about
That was exciting.
All right. So breeds.
Yes.
Why is that so important? Justin, maybe you can, start us off on why knowing the breed or heritage breeds in general, why is that important?
Yes. So let's start with, what is a heritage breed?
Yes.
So original breeds, animals that walked the earth before they were tampered with by humans, essentially.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So not something that people ever think about when they go shopping, when they're looking through the meat cases. You're looking for all the things that you're conditioned to shop for. You're never looking for, what's the breed, But it's essential that you use heritage breeds to get the original quality that we're looking for out of protein. We don't want to modify things, right? We're all scared of GMOs, all this stuff. Well, guess what? Yep. Breed modifications have big consequences when it comes to what you're eating. So
definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically, just like Justin mentioned, I'll just read over kind of, the definition, what are heritage breeds. Traditionally, livestock breeds that were raised by our forefathers, right? So this bygone era is before the industrial agricultural became super mainstream in terms of practice, and we talk about a lot of those commodity industrial farm practices before on the podcast. So these heritage breeds were carefully selected and bred over time to develop traits that well adapt them to the environment, and they tend to thrive under the real quality farming practices in terms of the conditions. So it's very different to those found in modern agriculture, as we've spoke on before.
Right. And I think one of the biggest things to note is all the different types of breeds that are out there, right? In terms of, beef, poultry, pork, seafood. There's so many different types, so many different, how do you decipher which ones, are the heritage breeds, which ones are the right breeds, or which ones are just, that sort of industrial agriculture sort of, bred cow that was just bred, again, bigger, fatter, faster, cheaper, where they don't really, they essentially breed all the flavor out of these things, like they did in pork and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Justin, there's over 600 different breeds of cattle, if I'm correct, right?
That's true.
Yeah. 600 different breeds. So, some of which are not, even really edible breeds. Some of which are mainly used, to do work and things like that. So
hence, that's the Longhorn Steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
That's not an edible breed. It's actually just a working breed of cattle. But they named their steak restaurant after it.
Right.
Great marketing. But
hey.
They definitely don't serve Longhorn.
Yeah.
No,
definitely not.
No, definitely not.
No, I have a list here of a couple of the different breeds. So I think some of the most popular are probably your Angus beef, right? Your black Angus, your red Angus. And then they have here as well, Wagyu. The one that I think the breed of cattle that we always see as far as dairy, the Holstein. That's the black and white kind of cattle. They have like limousine. Some of these I can't even pronounce.
Herefords.
Yeah, right. There's so many different ones like Hereford, Galloway, English, Red Pole. There's just so many different ones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rosetta's, exactly.
It just goes on, and they all taste different. They all have different qualities.
Yep.
In terms of human consumption, they do different things, right? Like some of them are good for milk production. Some are more naturally marbled. And when you go to the store, you're never going to know what you're getting.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they don't know either because they're just simply not thorough breeding animals, right? So you've got some sort of, the only term really is just mutt cow, That's really what you're buying when you buy beef at the store. You will see the certified Black Angus label, the CBA brand.
I did see that, yeah.
Which is a brand. It's not a certification,
Right.
even though they call it certified Black Angus. That is a brand.
It's tricky, right?
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yep. And the qualification for that label is 51% or more of the steer's breed to be Angus. So
Wow.
not nearly the same thing as thoroughbred.
Right.
Like what we get from Creekstone. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 100% Black Angus genetics, right? The genes in the animal too. That's one thing that we've touched on before, but that's one thing that personally I've learned a lot about is that the genes and the history, the background of the animal goes into a lot of like the eating experience and the taste, right?
Yep.
And then we talk about, of course.
Well, when you talk about the genetics and you talk about marbling, like they're going to marble differently because of their genetics, right? So that's going to affect the flavor. So one cattle that doesn't have all that intermuscular kind of marbling and fat that actually creates that flavor is going to probably be a little bit more, tough and rigid. Even though, that's sometimes it's not a bad thing, but in terms of the flavor wise, you could, as far as Creekstone beef and like Black Angus, you can't beat it. Like,
yeah. And that's a common misconception, right? People think, oh, well, I don't want grass-fed beef because that doesn't taste good.
Right.
And if I get the commodity corn-fed stuff, it's going to taste better.
Right.
Which is true if you're not thorough breeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have both. You can pasture raise the animal and thorough breed a very naturally marbled animal like Black Angus and achieve both.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds because then you get the eating experience that you want. And too, I think you just mentioned like going to the store and like buying something where you don't know what breed it is. Like you may cook it the same exact way and it's not going to turn out the same because there's no consistency. When you're getting the same breed, you're going to have the same consistent eating experience, which I think is what everyone's ultimately looking for, right?
Right.
And consider this too, right? So in feedlots, they're not eating grass. So they give them corn, which is essentially going to put sugar in the diet, and that's where the marbling is going to come from. It's like artificially creating marbling through feeding, whereas if the cattle are grazing on the land, the top of grown-in grass and forage has a lot of sugar in it. It does the same thing naturally.
Right.
So if you get grass-fed beef and it doesn't taste good, it's just not pasture raised. It means they fed them hay or grain byproducts, like other stuff that isn't creating the same good taste that you could get from the commodity beef.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about. You know what I mean? Like when you think of how they're raising the animals and things like that, it also plays into the genetics because then, the genetic, like you were just speaking on, like in a commodity farm, they're also not grazing. They're not out there, which develops, the different sort of like, muscles and just like different things. Like it's just more natural essentially, right? The food wise. So, I think that plays a big part into it as well. When you think of going from cattle to pork, right? You have the different, it's almost the same thing. The genetics plays a big role. And what they're eating, what they're feeding them is huge because when you talk about pigs, they'll eat anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I just have a list of the different pigs here too. So you got your Chester White, right?
Yeah.
You have your Berkshire, your Choctaw, Duroc. I can't even say this one. Gloucester, Guinea Hog, Hampshire. And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this one right either. Sorry. Coon, Kune. I have no idea.
I don't know about that one.
I have
Never heard of it.
And of course, the potbelly pig.
Yeah, lots of different breeds of pigs, right? And that's I think where you were talking about. It's super important what they're eating, what they're feeding them, humane care and treatment. Because a pig would eat whatever if it was, in a commodity food.
Yeah,
sitting in a gestation crate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one time my uncle told us a story, and he said that I guess my mom had 5 brothers and sisters growing up, and they kind of had a lot of animals, farm animals and things.
Yeah,
and they had a pig, and it was eating like tin cans and things. Like it would
literally anything.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely don't want that. I definitely don't want that.
I think I say that's the easiest way to hide a body too, is just throw it in the pig farm.
Oh my goodness.
I've seen it in movies.
Yeah, no, that's some intense stuff. So I mean, it's definitely important. And in terms of like the heritage breed, I think you touched on it earlier, and you were just talking about breeding out the fat and the flavor, which they did that with pork. And so that darker color and the darker red kind of hue and purple hue to the pork is what's associated with like flavor, like more a more intense flavor. So
I thought you were gonna say abundance. An abundance of flavor.
Abundance of flavor,
I was like,
which
lots
it
of
is.
things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I mean, Justin, maybe you could talk a little bit more about kind of what happened there with and what is it? Pork, the next white meat? I always mess that up.
They're trying to make it the other white meat.
The other white meat.
Yeah, I mean that was the anti-fat movement back in I think it was 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah.
And the big pork producers were trying to compete with chicken, so they're looking at the appearance of pork and the heritage breeds, how dark in color they are, and they're like, well, that's not appealing, right? So they started selectively breeding the animals to be whiter in color, right? And the problem with that is what they were essentially doing is getting rid of all the fat and flavor, all the natural properties like the oleic acid, all these things that basically keep moisture retention so you don't dry out your pork. I mean, they have selectively bred the flavor out of pork in the U.S.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can just look at it and tell.
It's crazy.
A lot of people don't eat. I mean, a lot of people don't eat pork for a myriad of reasons, but some people don't eat it just because it doesn't have a lot of flavor, or it's not good. It's dry. You can't cook it. It never turns out well. But in the difference of the heritage breeds, with like we were talking about the marbling and like that intense purple color, and it just has such a different flavor. It's a total different experience.
Yeah. Some people love pork. Like we got Mark Grinnell from listening from South Carolina. He says he loves pork. I love pork as well.
Yeah, who doesn't, right? Bacon is basically its own category. We always joke about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's got to be quality, though. I mean, pigs, I get really emotional about this stuff when you talk about, if you learn too much, again, we talk this all the time.
Right.
But, I mean, they're such social creatures. They're just as smart as dogs. Like, they need social interaction. So it's like, if you're going to be eating meat, which I think you should, just be responsible about it, right? I will never, ever eat pork that was raised in a gestation crate. No. It's just the most inhumane thing you can do. Yeah. It's just terrible.
Right. How they're treating them, how they're feeding them, the entire, their entire life, essentially. You know what I mean? When you think about and I'm taking it back to like Lion King, the circle of life, right? Like the antelope eat the grass, we eat the antelope, then they, you know what I mean? It's like a whole circle. Yeah. Whereas like with the commodity farm, it's just like, you know what I mean? It isn't what it's supposed to be and what it's, you know what I mean? What it's marketed to be. It's just, I mean, it's unfortunate.
Right. Because all it does is take.
Right.
Right. The way the system is it actually takes it's like a 10x take from the earth.
Right.
Because they got to raise GMO corn and bring it to the feedlot. So now they're degrading the soil and the land over here, and it's not being regenerated by the animals that would be grazing that land.
Naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you're just destroying all that, feeding it into a feedlot where, that's not helping the environment either. And the whole chain of the circle of life, like you just said, is disrupted. And on a big scale, it's going to have major, major impacts if we don't fix it.
Yep.
Wow. I do have a couple fun facts about pigs. So 1539 is when pigs came to the United States for the first time. It wasn't the U.S. back then, but to the North America. Spanish colonist Francis de Soto brought hogs to Tampa Bay, actually.
Tampa Bay.
Interesting.
They won the Super Bowl.
Florida. So that's where they came. And then another interesting fact that, since all of this that we just spoke about, this, breeding out of the flavor and all that kind of happened, the fat cap on pigs, on heritage breeds within the last 150 years went from 3 inches to a little bit less than 1.5 inches. So if you think about like the breeding over time of what that, takes to accomplish that was just really like remarkable to me. I was very interested in hearing that.
And you think about, the flavor again, the less fat and all that kind of stuff, just the whole breeding aspect. Like,
yeah, they were talking about all the things that you can do with the rendering of the fat or whatever, the fat and lards. They were talking about, previously, obviously before the Industrial Revolution and everything, they were filling their lamps. They would burn it for, fuel, for light. It could feed slaughtering one pig could literally feed like a whole town. That's what they were talking about. So, yeah, it was very interesting.
And they're using the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like you said, no waste.
Yeah,
Whereas we think about it now,
nose
like
to tail.
50% of food is wasted,
Ooh, yeah.
just thrown away in the trash.
Another
Terrible.
fun fact.
But we don't have enough food to feed everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go there.
Another fun fact too. We were reading an article that said 20 to 21% of all animals are in risk of being endangered. Which that's pretty intense. That's a pretty intense number. And then they said 26% of livestock animals are actually at a risk of being extinct.
Extinct. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's just like we talked about. Was it last week? We were talking about the ocean.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
And it's because of these practices, right? Just the constant, like, you know, again, we have, I guess, the Industrial Revolution and how agriculture was and how it started. And then, you know, what it's become as far as like, you know, trying to feed the masses and that kind of stuff. What they've done is just ruin the entire process from land to sea. I mean, all of it, the soil.
That system, though, the commercial farming system, relies on the ignorance of the population.
Right.
That's
You know, so that's
definitely.
that's why we do this podcast. And hopefully it will get more reach. But the only reason why someone would be part of that is if they just didn't understand.
Yep.
You know, and they do an excellent job
Yeah.
of hiding it.
Yeah. They
Absolutely.
You know, not enough mainstream education is coming forward with how bad these practices are. I mean, you would think if we're not going to have any nutrition in our soil by 2050, you know, maybe some people would care.
do. Right.
Yeah.
It will be a little more of a news break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if people knew, I think they would, you know, vote with their dollars, and then would force Big Ag to make changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the hugest thing is, you know, trying to do our part. Like you said, put the word out there, you know, share this information, get people on board. I encourage you to do your research, all that good stuff.
That's why I loved having Matt Mayer come on, because he, you know what I mean? I asked him that question, you know, like how the idea that people have is we can't feed everybody, you know, doing it the sustainable way. And he literally just reverses that whole thing and is like, absolutely, you can feed everybody that way. It's actually, that's what we should be doing.
Right.
It's that, you know what I mean? We're cutting corners and we're doing this stuff with that commodity farm and that sort of space. So yeah, I mean, it has to change eventually. Right. And I'm glad to be a part of, you know, the movement where it's like, we're bringing it to light, and it's something that people should be paying attention. Not only the food that you're eating, but once you realize like what you're eating, and then you look at like what you're eating is super important. So it's a whole, I think, timeline of you know what I mean, just education that, you know, we have to go through, that because in school they're not teaching you that, right? They consider pizza as a vegetable.
French fries.
French fries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technically it is, but you know.
Yeah, I think, you know, we talk a lot about what people kind of sort of on their radar, like what animals eat and, you know, organic, not organic, all this stuff. But we never really talk about the consequences of the breeding, right? Like let's just take the chickens, for example. This is just so important. The heritage breed chicken, Heritage Hubbard from Murray's, is a 3.5 pound fully grown chicken, right? That is half the size of a commercial broiler hen. And the consequences of this are organic or not. It just means the feed was organic, right? It has nothing to do with the breed. And these commercial broiler hens that have been selectively bred and modified to get so big so fast, they can't walk. So if you're spending extra for free range, cage free, organic, it's like the chicken can't walk. It doesn't matter if it's in a cage or not. Its organs are under immense stress. It's going to 6 pounds in 47 days, and that's the harvest age.
Right.
I mean, it's just such a it's just like you'll never know, right? You walk in the store, it's chicken. It's organic or it's natural. Those are your choices.
Right.
Man, it's just like so frustrating, right? I just want everyone to know and understand the difference.
Yeah.
And then on the health side, I mean, having nothing to do with the ethics around this stuff in humane animal handling. I mean, you're eating 6 times less fat out of a heritage breed chicken that actually got exercise.
Right.
You know, what do you think that'll look like on you?
Yep.
Yeah. So not only does it taste better and it's better for you, but the animal's life is better, and the way that it helps and aids the environment is also better too. So it just all around just makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Right.
And again, that's the whole process of Franken farming food. Really, you know what I mean? For lack of a better word, like that's what they're doing. Like those birds that Justin's talking about are meant to grow that fast and be that big. Like that's what they weren't made like that. Like that's not nature.
Right.
That was human beings, you know what I mean? Genetically modifying these animals, like doing whatever they do, you know what I mean? Like putting hormones and all kinds of stuff in them. And then now that's their genetics. That's how big they grow. That's how fast they grow. And if you think about, you know, the Murray's Family Farms chickens, they're actually supposed to, you know what I mean? Like they're bred to be, their life is like long span. You know what I mean? It's a lot longer than your traditional broiler hen, which is, you know what I mean? Nature. They're out on the field, they're grazing, all that kind of stuff. It makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? When you really do the research and you break it down and you look into it.
Yeah, and natural progression. And the other thing too is, you know, the genetic changes that they do with these chickens. I mean, it's all about profit, right? So they literally change the genetic of the chicken so that they have enormous breasts because it's the most profitable part of the bird.
Yep.
Right? And I mean, it's just so not real. It can't be good for you.
Yeah, and I think on a previous episode we talked about, you know, how they're even compensating, and the whole point that they encourage the growers, not the farmers, right, for the chicken growers, to grow them as fat as they can or as large as they can, to weigh as much as they can with as little feed as possible. And that's how they're, you know what I mean, encouraged to do their work and their raising. Yep. It's crazy.
Yep, they're incentivized to do that. So
you could tell, you know, where the you know, those kind of the motives lie versus giving the animal an actual humane, you know, raising, and all that stuff. So,
right.
Yeah, super interesting.
And then, you know, we didn't mention it in the cattle, but it's all the animals. Like when you put them in this system, the amount of like hormones that they're releasing as far as like stress and all that kind of stuff. Not only are we ingesting that, but it creates a rigidity in the actual meat, right?
Yeah, the stress of the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's different consequences in each animal, right? So it gets super complicated going from like, okay, what's the consequence of doing this in chickens and pigs and cattle? And it's very different. But
right.
I mean, just try to think about, you know, a feedlot cow is going to 15, 16, 1,700 pounds. I mean, the stress on that animal's joints and it's just a miserable situation. So they're always in an elevated level of stress, which is hiking cortisol levels, which is getting into the meat. And, you know, you're consuming this stuff. It's like, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Putting that stress level on your body, right?
Yeah.
Like just by eating that product.
And there's no research on the consequences because it's fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to, I mean, use your common sense. Look around. Something's really wrong.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't even think we like really touched on seafood, but same thing. We spoke about that last week, and there's tons of different breeds there, and you know, what's the right thing to do there and all that stuff. So yeah.
And with salmon and like seafood, it's a little bit different because it's like wild caught. So some of these species I feel like are regular species of salmon just growing up in different waters, and they're affected to different like, you know, the food sources and that kind of thing. Right. But then you talk about like the farming aspect of it. And that's where you kind of get into like the genetics of those animals, you know what I mean? But like when you look at the 5 main Pacific salmon, you have your king, which is known as the Chinook, sockeye, coho, pink, which is also known as humpback, and then chum, right?
Yeah.
So the
pink and chum are also interchangeable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you have those. You know what I mean? You have those types of salmon, but I feel like those weren't. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like those were genetically, you know, predisposed to any of the stuff like the land animals are going through. These are just different types of salmon in the Pacific.
They're not breed modifying the ocean. They're just killing it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's rough.
I'm just gonna start getting way more honest on this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I'm not softening it anymore. I mean, we gotta get the information from the people who have it to the people who need it.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
You heard it here first, people.
I gotta stop hitting the wrong buttons, especially at the wrong moments. Like that was like a big moment there, and I hit the wrong button, and it's like, I'm sorry, folks. I apologize. I'm gonna get it together though. I promise.
I enjoyed it. I almost started the intro again.
We're starting over. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I mean, I think we've covered, you know, most of the you know, the breeds specific, you know, the heritage breeds that we have and that we carry, and you know, the specifics on why it's so important to do your research and find out why we even have these. Like we have these breeds for that purpose, right? Because like Justin always says, it's like we're doing the sourcing for you. We're doing the hard work for you. Where we're going out, we're looking at these things, and this is our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. I enjoy, like looking these things up and talking about animals and all that kind of stuff and agriculture and all that. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's great.
I mean, as far as the mission and the purpose, I lose sleep over the fact that it's unfair that people don't know. And,
Right.
And they can't help themselves. Or even worse, they'll say no to something like this, and then I'm like, oh, how did I not convey this correctly? Like who wouldn't,
Yeah.
even if it costs double, like whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no ethical option for me. And I talked about this all the time, but like my wife and I, we were in the apartment. We were first starting off. We're like, we are never going to sacrifice food quality, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be first. Like how we take care of ourselves. Like we're never going to get a nicer anything before a top-notch gym membership.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Spend double,
Yep.
whatever. That's going to come first. The quality of the food. Like we're going to take care of ourselves before any other discretional spending.
Damn.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Because there's a lot of things you could spend your money on, but why wouldn't you spend it on yourself first?
And I see this all the time. People have trapped themselves into a lifestyle where they are sacrificing their health. I mean, that's the hardest thing for me to see is somebody that wants to save $5 on a grocery bill, and then there's a BMW in the driveway of their, single family home. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I know how you ended up there, but let's fix it. Like if you actually care about yourself and your family, like sell the BMW.
right.
Sorry, but you got to face the music at some point, or
Right. What you eat is like what you become, right? What you put in is what you're going to get out at the end of the day.
100%.
There's nothing truer than that. So.
Yep. Priorities. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And a lot of it, I feel like, is, again, miseducation. But then once you know. Like, it's hard to look past it. You know what I mean? Once you've done the research and you look into it and you're like, even eating sushi now, right? After we did the whole Seaspiracy and we went through that.
Someone's like, I don't know if I could ever do sushi again. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow,
and it wasn't even because,
bold.
like, I don't like the flavor. Like, I love the flavor and everything. It's just, like, now I don't know if I can really trust that. And if I want to, like Justin says, like, vote with my dollars and keep these kind of things in business and keep it going on without somebody really, like, paying attention to it and then coming up with the solutions, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it affects me, too. Like, every time we're doing this, like, I'm there. I'm like,
Keep
what?
learning
I can't.
something new every week, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
And I love sushi.
got to push yourself to learn and grow, right?
Yep.
A mind that grows never returns to its original size.
Yep.
You just keep building on it.
Yep.
Very true.
Well, we do have a short trivia
Okay.
game that we can play, that we can
get
go
into
through.
that.
And while we're playing, we want to just encourage everybody that is watching, go ahead, share this podcast, comment below for your chance to win. Shannon, I think, did you mention what they could win today?
I did not mention it. We're going to do a food giveaway. It's going to be a mystery giveaway. It'll be something
Ooh.
sweet. So there you
Oh,
go.
snap.
That's all a giveaway for that.
Perfect.
Something sweet coming right to you. So make sure you share this podcast, comment with a friend, tag someone below that you think might, enjoy the podcast, and you may be entered to win the special prize.
Yes. Very special. Sweet. All right. So let's get it started.
All right, I'm nervous.
Me too.
Let's do
All
it.
right. Let's add a little. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
We'll ask the first question to Justin.
Okay.
Oh, goodness gracious.
What are cruciferous vegetables?
Cruciferous?
Yes.
I can give some examples. Like broccoli is a crucifer.
Yep.
Oh, we need a bell. Ding, ding,
But the
ding.
definition, I guess, is that like a sprouting type of vegetable?
Giving me an example was perfectly acceptable, so we'll go with that.
Okay.
But it says like cauliflower, bok choy, cabbage, those kind of vegetables are.
Nice.
So we'll go on to the next one. Good job, Justin.
Thank you.
Correct. Shannon,
Oh, no.
you might get this one because you have that. Too. What element whose symbol is capital C, little a, is needed to keep bones healthy and strong?
Would this be calcium?
You are correct. It is calcium.
All right.
Lovely.
Justin, what is the most important meal of the day?
Not breakfast.
Technically, it was right.
I mean, I disagree with that. But if it says breakfast, I disagree.
That's what they have.
And then we can at
But
another
let's get
time
your-
talk about the Fit for Life book.
There it is.
Okay. What is the most important one, if I may ask?
I would say the one you have in the middle of the day in that 8-hour window. But
Right.
True.
Yeah.
so we'll call it lunch, dinner, whatever. But
I think people have a misconception on what
Dinner.
breakfast is. You know what I mean? Because when you think of breakfast, you think like, oh, it has to be in the morning, eggs. Like we fast, so we don't eat until 1 p.m. So technically,
Yeah.
my breakfast is
Lunch.
okay, so then I agree.
Yeah.
I was thinking time during the day.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, the first meal of the day is the most important.
There it
but
is.
There you go.
There, okay.
The one where you're breaking your fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shannon, how do you know if juice is made from real fruit? And I don't know if I technically agree with this
What?
answer.
Whoa.
How do you know?
If juice is made from real fruit.
I would say, oh gosh. Well, number one, you should be looking at the label and you should be reading the ingredients. I would be checking that there's no added sugar. I don't know what the right answer is on that one.
This is controversial. The label says 100% fruit juice.
Okay, no,
So-
I disagree.
We don't know. That.
Yeah.
Okay, skip that one.
All right. We already asked that one. I can't ask that what red fruit one is. What is the only fruit to have seeds on the outside?
Whoa.
Who is,
Yeah, that's
is
a
this?
good
Whose
one.
question is this?
This is yours, Shannon.
Oh, this is mine. That has seeds on the outside.
Let's
Yes.
make it for both of us.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
no clue. Let's
Like-
Okay.
What?
Seeds on the outside.
seeds on the outside.
Don't overthink it.
Wait.
You've enjoyed these. Possibly sometimes dipped in chocolate.
Strawberries?
Boom! Justin with the
What?
correct answer.
Oh yeah, the seed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now that I think about it. Okay.
Wonderful. All right. Justin, I guess you guys can both
Okay,
answer
okay,
this
okay,
question.
Okay.
What is grain-like food? What is the grain-like food grown principally in the Andes Mountains that is high in protein and is a great source of B vitamins and fiber?
The Andes Mountains? Quinoa? I don't know.
Oh, Justin with another.
Dang.
I'm gonna
stole
drop
it.
him up.
I'm like, what?
That's
Quinoa.
That's
You
good.
gotta quinoa things.
That's right. That was a good one. All right, here's another one. What bean that originated in East Asia is used for miso, oil, and tofu?
Soy.
Yep.
Correct. Soy is correct.
Oh goodness.
Oh, okay. Here we go. You
no.
guys might get this. I would not have gotten this, but what are Lactobacillus acidophilus and
Probiotics.
Oh, Justin with the quick one.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's good.
Thank you for doing that because I didn't want to have to
Couldn't pronounce
fight
the rest.
But yeah, bifidobacterium, not my forte.
It's all right.
All right. What is the abnormal enlargement of the thyroid gland due to deficiency of iodine called?
Wait.
Wait.
Oh, hyperthyroidism? Hypo?
Negative.
Oh, I have no idea then.
Wait. Did you say hyper?
I said both. I said
Yeah.
hyper and hypo. It was neither.
Yeah.
Wait. Ask one more time.
So what is the abnormal enlargement of the thyroid gland due to deficiency of iodine called?
I don't know.
Goiter?
Oh, okay.
Did you guys know that?
Like,
Definitely not.
No.
Yeah. No.
That's a new one.
In case you were wondering. So this is a good one. What yellow seasoning may help with mood stabilization?
Turmeric.
Damn it.
Boom, Justin.
Fire. Straight fire.
And what is the name for probiotic rich fermented milk?
Kefir.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
And then I guess this will just be the last one
Okay.
to take all the marbles.
Oh gosh.
What spice, frequently used in Hungarian, Indian, and Moroccan food, provides vitamin A and can prevent spider veins and inhibit hair loss?
Tiki masala? I don't know.
Negative. Negative.
I have no idea.
Curry?
Negative. Keep going.
I was thinking
Marsala?
region.
I believe it's like red.
Oh.
Cayenne?
Curry.
Ooh,
I don't know,
close.
guys. Oh, paprika.
Chili
Yes,
powder?
paprika. Yeah.
Let's just name all of them.
Paprika.
That
Well, I
was
hope you
fun.
guys enjoyed playing this trivia.
That was
That
fun.
was fun. We should do it more often.
That was
Yeah.
fun. We will do that more often. And we still have our giveaway. So maybe for those who are just tuning in, I'll let them know about our grill contest while you get that ready, Simon.
Perfect.
You know what we
So-
should do for the giveaway? We should
Ooh.
ask a trivia question, and who the first person to answer it
Ooh.
wins.
Yes, that's very good.
Just don't make it too hard.
Okay. All right. So let me
All
find
right,
one.
Simon,
No
what is
Googling.
our trivia question? Post in the comments below your answer for a chance to win, and we'll post who's the winner.
I'm going to go back to my music here. So let's do this.
You want to ask the red one?
Yeah. Or what vitamin gives sweet potatoes and carrots their orange color? Put that in the comments.
Oh, that's a good one.
I
Say it
know
one more time.
this. I
What
know this.
vitamin gives sweet potatoes and carrots their orange color?
Oh, that's a good one.
And farm-raised salmon.
Ooh.
Fun fact, farm-raised salmon would be completely gray if they didn't use this vitamin to color it.
Ooh, nice. That's a good hint.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone knows the answer to this.
Any guesses come in yet?
Not yet.
See.
Oh,
There it is.
Lori, beta carotene.
Beta carotene.
That's the answer, right?
That's the answer.
Ooh.
I was going to say, your reaction was like something else.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Nice job,
indeed.
Lori.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Yes.
We're the winner of something sweet coming right to you.
Congratulations.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today was a fun episode. We look forward to seeing you again next Thursday, 9:30 a.m. with another fun topic. And with that, Justin, you can go ahead and send us off.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. And as always, stay healthy with Heartland.